Hey guys, we're live. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. You're you, and you've had a wonderful weekend, I hope. I'm hoping you did. I imagining that I've lost all faculty and do not know how to speak English anymore. What means English? Who even cares? Nobody does. Gonna go live now on the Instaham. Everybody loves little Instagrams. What's up, friends and family? Guys on Instagram, I'm going to wait until people trickle in. We've got one concurrent viewer. This is exciting. Look, people are showing up. I got a notification. Aristotle Full Throttle went live. If you noticed, I have a beard. You probably know this the whole time. I'm starting to notice more and more since I'm not shaving it. I've got neck beard. Neck beard is the in fashion, in your home coronavirus style. English doesn't mean anything to me anymore. As you can see, I've not interacted with other humans. What's up, Travis? We're just talking about styrals. I just made up a word. Travis, how's your beard going? I imagine with a name like Travis, you're a masculine man. I'm just kidding. I know you. Wait. That doesn't mean I don't know that you're not masculine. I'm saying, how's your beard? This is the question I'm asking. Starlets. What's up, Bruce? How you doing? Just talking about quarantine beards and haircuts. How it doesn't really matter. Nobody really cares anymore. This is the style, neck beard. This is in fashion right now. It's in vogue. It's chic, as it were. Which I was recently corrected on the spelling of chic. I spelt it like chic, as if you were someone from the Middle East. However, it's C-H-I-C, chic. Thank you very much. You might notice I'm wearing an elephant shirt today. I'm not a Republican. I just like elephants. Deal with it. It's okay. Far from it, actually. Funny. I did try gargling with bleach this morning, though. I bet you do, Bruce. Bruce has a magnificent beard and a magnificent fro as well. Bruce has got lots of bushy hair. If you've seen a picture of Bruce, you would know what I'm talking about. You might have seen him on television even. But Bruce's hair is spectacular. I've seen your Instagram feed recently, and I could not tell if your beard and your hair were bigger or if you were just further away and your face was further away. Two fro bros indeed. Bruce and I know each other from way back in the day. Way back when I was rocking and rolling in my rock and roll band, we used to go to the beach in this big group and play a crazy game, an insane game. I'm not even going to get into the rules of it because it'll just confuse you. But could you imagine Ultimate Frisbee, but it's dodgeball, but it's volleyball, but there's also apologizing involved. Lots of apologizing. Yes, indeed. Bruce is shrinking into his hair. I might as well. I mean, I'm thinking of doing this experiment in which I suspend myself in just like the middle of the room in my own hair. I think eventually that's going to happen. I think it's unavoidable. Today we're talking about film franchises, not French fries, guys. Though those are delicious. Film franchises, there are so many. Some you might not even realize are franchises. Some you might not even realize are good. Like the Bridget Jones's Diary. Those are good. Those are actually good movies. I'm just saying. Is it Bridget? It's not Bridget Fonda's Diaries. That was called Single White Female. And that's a movie from the 80s or the 90s. I forget. That movie also has Jennifer Jason Jonathan Taylor Thomas Lee. I think that's her name. That's all of her names in one. That was the era where everyone had three names and you could just go. You had to have three names. Jennifer Jason Jonathan Taylor Thomas Lee. I'm pretty sure that was his name. If you were a child actor in the 90s, you had three names. Haley Joel Osment. See what I'm saying? Dakota Fanning. See, listen, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. Most of the time, it also does. Film franchises, not just the Marvel, not just the DC. I'm talking about the Weekend at Bernie's. I'm talking about what happened to Weekend at Bernie's. There can be so many more. An American Queef in Paris. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet. It's in my queue. It's in my Netflix queue. I also hear it's going to Hulu. The whole series. The series is going to, I don't know. I don't know how they make these deals. I hope you guys have coffee. I ran out of coffee a couple weeks ago, and what I did was I ordered more because you can't really go places. There aren't places. And they delivered it. They said they delivered it. It was 2 pounds, giant bag of coffee, 1,000 milligrams of coffee, 1 kilo, I suppose. I got a kilo of coffee delivered, guys. Don't tell nobody. It's a whole kilo. And I couldn't find it amongst the things that were delivered. You know when Amazon delivers you a bunch of stuff on your subscribe and save and you get like a big box and it's like, ooh, goodies, all these different things. Oh, wait, where's my coffee? Yo. And they were like, we delivered it. I don't know. You didn't get it. It's the Colombian good, bro. I got the Colombian kilo of coffee. No one ever really talks about that. It's totally legal. So then I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, you guys, you didn't send me my coffee. This is like the most important essential need. And then I pushed a little button. I went around. I used my pen, and I drew on my computer monitor. None of that helped. What I did was I pushed on the buttons, and they said, we're going to send you another coffee. Don't even worry about it, bro. We know you're home. You need that coffee. We're going to get it right to you. I get the new coffee. It's a giant bag. It's bigger than my head. My head is gigantic to begin with. This bag is bigger than that. And then, so what I do is, I'm like, yay, now I got coffee. I had a celebration. I had a mini celebration inside my head. I'm excited. I'm going along. I'm drinking this coffee. It's delicious, by the way. It's really good coffee. But it wasn't the brand that I usually get. I usually get a brand, but they were all sold out. So I got this new brand. I'm not going to talk about brands. I'm not going to mention brands unless they're paying me. Hey, what's up, Will? Will's over there on YouTube. Just talking about my coffee situation. I'm going along enjoying this giant bag of coffee, right? And then I get a text from the building there's like 4 buildings, and the main office is 3 buildings down for where I live. An apartment complex, I guess, if you will. They're like, we have a package for you here in the main office. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't have any packages coming to me. So I go, put on my mask, I put on my gloves, I put on my full-on biohazard suit, my hazardous materials, unaccounted for kilo of coffee. However, it was accounted for. I just did not receive it at my apartment. It was received somewhere else. So guess what, guys? I got 2 kilos of coffee. And I'm dealing. I got 2 whole kilos of coffee. And, yeah, I lucked out. I got a free kilo. I'm not going to try to smuggle it, though. So we're talking about franchises. Guys, if someone steals your Happy Meal, you've been French fried. That's just a joke. That's a play on words. Hey, Tatiana Wilkinson. Free coffee. Free coffee. I should open my own coffee shop, actually. I'm right here. My apartment's like right on the street. I could put a little neon sign in my window, hand out coffees, but just like pour it out into their hands. Give me your hands. Make a cup with your hands. Here's some coffee. Travis, what's your favorite film franchise besides An American Queef in Paris? That's actually a franchise. The American Werewolf. That's a franchise. I mean, there are sequels. I guess you could probably call something like An American Vampire in Detroit, and then be like, it's something. The Saw franchise, yes. The Saw movies. Saw, the first one, really good movie. Great concept. I was talking the other day, you could probably go watch my live stream on this, but I was talking about a movie called Escape Room the other day, and it's terrible. It may even be the worst movie I've ever seen. I actually told that to somebody after we saw the premiere of it, and that somebody was friends with the director. And I was like, listen, I'm sorry that you're friends with this director, but that might have been the worst movie I've ever seen. Anyway, would you like a beer? Saw was good. I liked the first one. I liked that guy who plays the... I always say to actors, and I always say this to actors, I don't know if you're listening, Bruce, but if you could be in like a Star Trek or a horror movie, that's like a for life you're in the club card. You're in the club. I have a friend who was in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movie, the first one, and he had 2 lines, and I was like, bro, you need to tell people, you need to go to conventions and say, you might remember me, I was the ensign when we were like going at warp speed, and I was like, something with the thing of the thing. And I was like, dude, nobody will ever forget you. They'll always remember you. They'll always remember who you were. And Star Trek fans they love you like that. Saw, horror franchises, same thing. Like if you are Robert Englund and you're Freddy Krueger for your whole life, you're just Freddy Krueger for your whole life. And he could just still continue to play Freddy Krueger because there's so much makeup. I don't know why they just don't keep hiring him to play Freddy Krueger. It's like a comfort blanket to have the same actor portray the same character, because even though it's a horror movie. The Saw guy, he was cool. Although I guess if in the first Saw movie he was supposedly dying of cancer or something, and this is why he's doing all of these horrible things. But then he doesn't die, and then he gets up and walks away. Spoiler. Listen, I'm not going to spoil the whole series. There's 7 of them. And quick spoiler, the 7 Saw movies I think there's at least 7 Saw movies. I have a friend who's in Saw 6, actually. Yeah. We're also in a car insurance commercial together. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull does hurt. We're talking about Indiana Jones. We jumped over to there. But the first movie, interestingly enough, the guy who wrote the first Saw movie is the guy who's handcuffed to the not Cary Elwes actor in that scene. Cary Elwes is good, though. I like that the movie, pushes the issue of trying to cut one of your own limbs off to do something. Pretty good. The Indiana Jones film franchises are pretty good. Although, in retrospect, a lot of times, like Indiana Jones movies, there's like one really amazing one, but my people don't want to watch it anymore. The Raiders of the Lost Ark. They don't want to watch it anymore because there's like a lot of blowback because Indiana Jones is a pedophile rapist. So there's a lot of blowback because of that. Because apparently when he meets up with Marion again in that scene when they're in Mongolia, she's like, I was a kid. I was 14. And he's like, yeah, you know what you were doing. It's kind of creepy. It's really creepy, actually. It's hard to see Indiana Jones the same way. Then Temple of Doom goes into all these weird racial stereotypes. You're like, man, this was the 80s, and it was cool to say, oh, look, a far off land in like South Asia, they'll just go ahead and eat monkey brains and as a delicacy and bugs, and we're supposed to think that that's gross and humorous. Other cultures, gross. I don't like that. Even though I'm sure they just don't. I don't know. I don't know what they eat in that country, but I don't know if it's chilled monkey brains. I don't know if that's like on the menu every night, because it would get old. I'd be like, this is too many monkey brains. I've had so much monkey brains this week. God, I'm so fucking done with these monkey brains. Guys, there's just too many monkeys. The Muppets movies, those are good. Are those all sequels? Or are they like just individual fantasies of monster puppets? 1 through 3, all good. Don't Travis disagrees with the pedophilia rap situation. You know, we're just gonna have to agree to not agree on that. Listen, Raiders of the Lost Ark is an incredible movie. I have lost the ability to speak actual words in English. I've made up my own language with my twin brother. My twin brother, who's right here. Let me go get him. I look just like him, don't I? Firstly, what's up? Do not follow me. I'm serious. I mean, do underscore not underscore follow underscore me underscore I'm or im underscore serious. I always like when you show up. Do not follow me. I'm serious. Is something I call you for short? Dooney? I'm gonna call you Dooney. I'll call you Dooney. John Wick 2 is the best one for fight. You know what? I have not seen John Wick 3 yet. I don't know what I'm doing. Between me and you, I've hardly watched a thing other than the paint dry on my wall, and it's already dry. But I want to watch John Wick 3. I'm going to watch that tonight. Take me to task in that. Guys on Twitter, remind me to watch John Wick 3 tonight, because those movies are fantastic, phenomenal. They've got the guy who everybody likes. There's the dog, and Keanu Reeves is in it. Lance Riddick. Everybody likes that guy. It's also got Morpheus. John Wick 2 has Morpheus in it. And Common. That last scene in John Wick 2, really spectacular. All of the glass mirrors and stuff. It was very Enter the Dragon. Hey, wait, which one was the one, the Bruce Lee movie where there's all the mirrors? There's that movie. Eastwood movies. Yeah, Sergio Leone Eastwood movies. Franchise. So are those all the one? I have a question about that, Will. Now, there's a bit of a delay on YouTube, probably about 30 to 45 seconds, which could make all the difference in the flow of a conversation. However, I have a question. Sergio Leone movies starring Clint Eastwood and not Scott Eastwood, who is terrible. Sergio Leone movies. Does Clint Eastwood play the same character in all of those movies? The Man with No Name? Josie Wales? Like, what's his honor? It is a franchise by now. It's actually built on the shoulders of a short story called Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep by Johnny Walker. Jimmy Walker? I don't think Jimmy Walker wrote that. Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep by not Robert A. Heinlein. Philip K. Dick. Dick? How did I forget that? It's written by that guy. He's a good science fiction writer, and he wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And so you built a movie on that. Now you have a sequel. So technically, now it's a franchise because there's like a world that they live in. What does define a franchise? Is a franchise a set of rules that you set up? Is it a world that you build? Is it a character that you follow? I'm going to say it's a character that you follow. But then technically, Out of Sight and Jackie Brown are the same franchise, because the movie Jackie Brown is based on an Elmore Leonard novel, words, and it stars Michael Keaton as an FBI agent or a DEA agent or some kind of agent in Jackie Brown, and then Michael Keaton reprises that same role in Out of Sight with George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, even though it's a different director and different movie, but also based on an Elmore Leonard book. So they just recast Michael Keaton. I mean, they cast him again. People always forget your full name. Do not follow me. I'm serious. As far as world building and for long franchise, Trek. Yeah. Trek is pretty. It's like a wealth of world that's building in that. I do like Star Trek a lot too. I think that the distinction, and we could do a whole show on this, the distinction between Star Trek and Star Wars that I like, and this is a very good distinction. Star Trek, that takes place in our universe. Like, that's just in the future. So they can make reference to what we do today, what we did in our history as humans, and kind of create these allegories and stories and teach lessons about what we're doing now and show a way to actually remedy certain social issues and problems and ways of thinking, which is really cool. And Star Wars does that kind of in another way, in the fact that it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But interestingly enough, it's just human problems. They got all these little human problems, even though it's on an epic scale. And it kind of tells a story. I don't know. I feel like Star Wars gets away from, especially the latest movies of Star Wars, get away from the whole idea of teaching certain lessons, and they just want to sell more toys. That's what happens when you get J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams J.J. Abrams is the guy where we're all like, all right, give it to J.J. He'll sell you some toys. I like Star Trek. Star Trek, at this point, has more better movies. And that's an actual correct statement. And it sounds weird, but it has more better movies. Star Trek movies are more better. Listen, Will's no expert. The High Plains Drifter is a wraith, and other characters not so much. Could be totally wrong. Woo. I didn't think of that. So Eastwood is just like this wraith. John Wick. People are giving me some recommendations on John Wick 3. I can't wait. I was really excited at the end of John Wick. However, does a franchise run out of like steam after a while? Because the cool thing about something like Star Trek or Star Wars, which is my problem with the new Star Wars, you've got an entire universe, guys. You've got Star Wars. It doesn't take place in our reality. Therefore, you can literally make up anything you want to do. You could just make up anything. You could say, this is a cupcake, and we wear it as a bow tie, and it's got a robot inside of it. And we'll just be like, okay, it's Star Wars. You could just make stuff up. Star Trek is a little bit more strict because they like to use actual physics. Certain ideas that are in physics today, they show how they could be practically used and utilized in the future, which is cool. I used to read like nerdy science magazines as a kid when I was watching Star Trek Next Generation. I read like Omni and Discover magazine, and they would show you, here's the latest in physics theories. And then next year, the following year on Star Trek The Next Generation, they would literally be quoting certain physics theories and stuff that were just being toyed with and bandied about during that time. Very cool. Star Wars, you could be like, he's a fish man, and he could shoot lasers from his eyes, and he's like, for some reason his hands are made of pancakes, and like we'll just be like, okay, that's cool, yeah, do that. It's a space fantasy. Star Wars. I'm very disappointed that with an entire universe in which you can make up anything, that we got these last 3 Star Wars movies, 7, 8, and 9, where they were just like, okay, episode 7, let's just redo episode 4. Episode 8, let's try something new and fun and interesting. Everybody hated it. Episode 9, hey, remember the greatest hits? Star Wars Episode 9, the greatest hits. Just the greatest hits, even stuff. Sometimes there's Lando maybe in it. We'll put Lando in it. We'll give Chewie his medal. We'll just check all the boxes of all the stuff that you thought of would be cool in a Star Wars movie. However, doesn't really honor the story or the characters all that well at all. Problem there. There's a massive problem there. You guys could have made up anything. You could have made up anything, and we would have been like, yeah, okay, sure. It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that already twists my brain enough to go, all right, I'm just going to forget reality. You could have had the dude, his legs are lollipop sticks. He could have breathed fire. They're like, one guy could have been like, I'm really good with, I'm an accountant for the Empire. I'm an accountant. Do you realize how much metric tons of steel these things? Who's going to pay for that? Anything. You could have done anything with Star Wars. And they did nothing with it. Nothing. I get really mad. I'm constantly reminded of Star Wars because I have a Death Star mouse pad. Not only do I have a Death Star mouse pad, I have 2 Death Star mouse pads. I have 2. Because you know what? I thought like J.J. Abrams. Just keep getting Death Stars. Just keep getting them. Just keep putting them on your table. I subscribed and saved one time. I put subscribe and save option on the Death Star mouse pad, so I was surprised the next month when I got another one. I didn't realize I'd done that. I saved like $1. But the problem is now I have 2, and I had to cancel the subscribe and save, and then so J.J. Abrams just pressed subscribe and save on Star Wars Episode 4, and save and subscribed. That's what he did with all of the Star Wars movies. And that's what we ended up with. A Death Star every month. And that's my rant. Star Trek is way better. It has been decided. Has better TV series. Has better movies. More better movies. Although I don't know if Kelsey will agree with me entirely. She's very much the contrarian. Yeah, man. Star Trek is it's a great franchise. Yeah, man. Me and Will, we were subscribed to Popular Mechanics, Omni, all the same stuff. We were reading all about Starkiller Base before there was a Starkiller Base. Phineas and Ferb had a good Star Wars episode. I do have mice pads. That's what that. I think they should have just they should call this like an MOUS, a mouse, so that you could distinctively read it if you were to read it. Here's one digital medium is called a disc, DISC. And I bet Notorious DIT knew that, and if I have it reversed, let me know. But yeah, like a disc, a floppy disk, magnetic, DISK. CD compact disc is DISC. It's called DICK. I know my thing paused for a second. My internet paused on my Instagram. So I was just talking about dicks. DICKS. Travis, do you have anything to add to that? What do I think about the Mission Impossible franchise? I love it. I love the Mission Impossible franchise. I like that originally, when they brought it to the movies, it was a franchise that was a TV series way back before I was born with Martin Landau. Martin Landau, great actor. Dead. Also, he's not doing much any more acting since he's been dead, but he is really good. He was also in Ed Wood. He played Bela Lugosi. He's phenomenal. Also dead. He's okay. I mean, he'd been dead for a while. So he's not been working. So he and I have had pretty much the same amount of work in the last 10 years, I'd say. Martin Landau, was in a show called Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is really fun and stupid and silly, and it's got a cool theme song in 5/4, guys. Count it out with me. Dun 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 dun. It's in 5/4. It's really fun. I'll always point out the metric that theme songs are in. Also, Halloween is in 5/4. Halloween, I'll tell you when it's 5/4. How about that? We'll agree on that. Whenever something's in 5/4, you'll hear it from me first. I don't know if I can play this. Yep. We'll get back to that. I think it was pretty cool that they took it and they wanted to make it a legitimate film series in the 90s, starring Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise has been doing this for like 400 years now. But the first Mission Impossible movie was directed by Brian De Palma. And they were like, what? Brian De Palma is going to take a TV show and adapt it for the films? People are going to go to the movies to pay to see a TV show? And they tried to sell the idea with, well, we have award-winning, critically acclaimed film director Brian De Palma, and he's going to make this movie for you. And he did, and it was pretty cool. And then directors caught wind of this as like, oh, this is a good way to jump on a highly financed film franchise, since Mission Impossible was a hit. And then John Woo came along, because John Woo was like phenomenal in foreign cinema. John Woo did, I think, Hard Boiled, and he's kind of like the king of gun fu. Speaking of John Wick series, John Woo got to direct Mission Impossible 2, which was friggin' terrible. Sorry. Mission Impossible 2 is bad. I'll tell you why Mission Impossible 2 is bad. I'll tell you my experience that I had. This is me launching. I need a better preamble for my stories. But when I was but wee lad and I was in school and I was going to this equipment lab at my school to go get some film gear, because that's what you do in a film school, that you got to go ask for can I borrow a camera, please? It's not like today with your little iPhones and your Vines, going making your Vines. When I was a child, they were like, there was no iPhone, and you had to go get a camera and put film inside that camera and then press and then wind the camera. This was 100 years ago. I had a friend, good friend, still a friend, very successful film editor and director in Hollywood today. I'm not going to mention him. I'm not going to mention him by name because he's my friend. And hopefully he doesn't remember this. But this is what happened, guys. I watched Mission Impossible 2. I left the theater going, I love John Woo's visuals. I love his visual style. However, that movie felt like it was a car chase, a mountain climbing, a helicopter chase, and a motorcycle chase strung together. The whole movie, I just thought, there's nothing to this movie other than that it's these things. And I was describing this to one of my friends on the way to the equipment room where my friend was working. I was like, hey, this movie felt like it was just a car chase, a motorcycle chase, and a helicopter chase, and that's it. And I get to the doorway of the equipment room, and my friend says, hey, guys, have you seen Mission Impossible 2? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, isn't it great? I heard the whole movie was designed around a car chase, a helicopter chase, and a motorcycle chase. So he enjoyed the fact that it was transparently and very clearly just three different giant set pieces strung together. And that was the very reason I despised the movie. So get out of Mission Impossible 2 what you will. I get nothing out of it. Mission Impossible 3, that's when J.J. Abrams stepped in and was like, I'm J.J. Abrams, and I take franchises and then try to reboot them and make them more interesting for people and then leave so that other people can try to keep it going. And then thankfully Brad Bird kept it going in Mission Impossible 4. And the last guy who did the last 3 Mission Impossible movies, the one that's coming out and the last 2, I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed the last 2 movies. I love the scene in Rogue Nation or whatever it's called. Love the opera scene, the opera house scene in Mission Impossible 5, I think it is, or 6, where they're fighting in the rafters and there's an opera going on, and it's just like it's a dance. It's a very cinematic part of the series. I think that Mission Impossible is doing a cool job at maintaining the element of still being cinematic. A lot of things, franchises get tired and just have lots of talking and punching. But Mission Impossible had an element of suspense in that scene. Thought it was pretty cool. Interested in seeing the next stunt that Tom Cruise insists on actually doing. What's up, bro, man? Cam the Dragon, waving y'all. Thank you for joining. We do this every day at noon. We just chat, we hang out, we have a little talk. Today we're talking about film franchises. This is Aristotle Full Throttle. If you're on YouTube at aristotlefullthrottle.com, just go there. It'll redirect you right to my channel. You can subscribe. You can just press like the video. If you're watching on Instagram right now, Instagram Live, you could, I don't know, tap the screen, lick the screen. You could throw the phone in the toilet for all I care. Just, keep the stream going. We'll chat. Don't lick your phone. That's gross. You should be washing your hands, guys. You should be drinking bleach and shining ultraviolet lights in your eyeballs. This is what I heard. The president has spoken. I am doing that. I've been doing that since Friday. I'm perfectly fine. I've been cured of the coronavirus. Guys, also, you're infected with the coronavirus, and the disease that you subsequently get is called COVID-19. You can't test positive for COVID-19. You test positive for the presence of coronavirus. The illness that you get is called COVID-19. It's like the influenza virus causes the flu. So it's like a whole thing. There's just little things that bother me when I hear it. It bends my ear, and I go, Lee! Guys, come on now. Let's learn. Let's educate ourselves. Oh, you can send a request to be in the video live. That's cool. Yeah, don't do that. I mean, you could. Maybe I'll have some select people. Hey, Travis, if you want to be in this video, send a request and we'll chat. But maybe not. Maybe Will over there, but you're over on YouTube. Maybe we'll take some live calls. Fast and Furious franchise is no longer about drag racing the guys who are flying supercars. Yeah, totally agree with you. Do Not Follow Me, I'm Serious, or Dooney for short. I think that those movies look like that because I haven't seen a single one. I need to watch those movies to chime in on that, but I agree with you. Being someone who has not watched those movies, talking to someone who has watched those movies, as a person who has seen some of the trailers, I totally agree with you. Huffers living their best life right now. Where's Bogani? Yeah, Bongani. Tell me how you say your name, and then I'll say it. Say my name. I know. I gotta get a Starkiller base, whole desktop actually, just for. Will's pointing out because I've got these mouse pads, just for scale. I should just turn my whole place into a Starkiller base, just for scale. Be like, if this is the Death Star, which was bigger than the original Death Star because this is the newly constructed Death Star from Return of the Jedi, the one that, by the way, happens to be fully operational deceptively since it looks like it's still under construction, which it is, but it's also fully operational. Not like my brain right now. Darth Maul Scarface movie. Ooh. Darth Maul Scarface. That's pretty cool. That's like a wombo of franchises. Ooh, that's an interesting concept now. What about franchises that have joined? What do you think about that? Franchises that have merged. Can you think of one? I can think of one right off the bat. Right off the bat, I got one in my head. You know which one it is? Freddy versus Jason. Those are two French fries that have crossed their ketchup. Those are similar. People go Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's make it one thing already, because it's like the same crowd going to see both movies. Why don't we just make them fight each other? And then none of them really definitively win, because who won? Who won the fight, Freddy versus Jason? I don't think either of them won. And who knew Jason had nightmares? Who knew Jason was so sensitive? I mean, I guess he is. He's really upset about his mother. I gotta watch the Fast and the Furious movies. Maybe I'll watch them all in one day. But the first Fast and the Furious was a fluke. Jason won. Yeah, I guess it's fair that Jason won Freddy versus Jason, because Freddy always loses in the end, and Jason kind of always never loses. But they always do that. They always go like, oh, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. Oh, here comes the hand out of the ground. But I love it. I don't know, I love it every time. They're like, oh, we dropped a house on Jason, then the hand comes up. You know, something like that. Or like, Jason's, you know, we stuck him to the tree, and then like, he chopped off his head, turned his legs into popsicle sticks, and then Jason shows up, puts his head back on, puts his legs back on. It's like, I got my machete. I'm ready to go kill. Ready to go kill again. What is Jason getting out of it anymore? Someone have a talk with Jason? I mean, I feel like the thrill is gone for Jason. Still chopping heads off, hacking at people with his machete. I think he's just punching the clock at this point. He's 10 movies in. He's like, ugh, a bunch of teenagers about to have sex. Back to work. Gotta go murder them. I mean, what does Jason really want? Because he's not finding it. He's not getting it from all the murdering and decapitation. I should have a talk with I should have him on the couch back here. Hey, Jason. And I start talking and he immediately murders me. That would be the whole show. That would be today. It would be like 40 minutes of build-up. Today we're going to talk to Jason Voorhees about what's truly bothering him. We're going to get to the bottom of it. But first, let's talk to all of these people in Jason's life. And they're just all dead. Just a bunch of dead people. Oh, man. 30, 40 minutes of build-up like a Barbara Walters special. Later on in the show, we're going to have Jason Voorhees himself right here on the couch to talk about his mother. Corey Feldman will be on the special because Corey Feldman will show up if you ask him. Corey Feldman, how come you haven't been murdered by Jason Voorhees? It's like, do you even remember Friday the 13th Part 3? I think he does get killed in that one. He does. 45 minutes goes by. And after this next commercial break, we'll be right back with Jason Voorhees explaining to us what is at the bottom of all of this murder. Come back. Thank you for joining us. And now for the moment you've all been waiting. And then my head gets immediately chopped off. He chops my head off. That would be worth it. I think it would be worth it. Because that's the point. Jason is just a force of nature. Jason, that's what he exists to do. He's like Anton Chigurh. Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men is the same as Jason Voorhees. However, I'd like to see a sequel to No Country for Old Men. It's based on a book by give me a second. Just give me like 10 minutes. McCarthy. Paul McCartney. It's on a book by Paul McCarthy. It's something like that. Although I would like to see a follow-up to see what happens to that guy. But you don't. That's the whole point. He walks off into the sunset and does not die. It's pretty good. And also, the thing I love about No Country for Old Men, one of my favorite movies, I'll probably always bring it up, is that Tommy Lee Jones just retires and Anton Chigurh goes on murdering. It's great, because that's how it goes. Tommy Lee Jones is like, yeah, do I keep following this guy who just murders everybody, or should I just retire and live another 15, 20 years? And he just decides, you know what, this is No Country for Old Men. I retire. It's good. A little metaphor at the end of that movie about seeing his father on a horse, and his father just keeps on going. And it's like, yeah, because you're never going to catch the horse, bro. You're never going to catch up with the horse. You're going to be constantly chasing the horse, the dragon. Chasing the dragon. Does Game of Thrones count as a franchise? I know they're trying to make... I had a dream, much like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I had a dream, very similar. However, it was about Game of Thrones, and it could have been about the prequel series that they're coming out with, about the Targaryens. They were like, how do we have more dragons in this stuff? Because dragons are cool. And in my dream, there was a prequel coming out, and it had Jon Snow in it for some reason. And I was like, why has it got Jon Snow and Daenerys? Dany. Can't tell you any of the details yet. It's not. I had to sign an NDA in my dream with HBO, so HBO could probably still sue me. Oh, Bambi versus Godzilla. Will, nice reference there. That's a good one. If you guys can watch Bambi versus Godzilla, it's a great animated short. I think I recommended it the other day. It's goofy. It's about a minute and a half long, I think, but it's hand animated. It is quite good. Tatiana, she points out that Rocky is the best film franchise of all. We're talking about Rockies. Yeah, I like all the Rocky movies except for Rocky 5. Rocky 5 is no good, but they're all good, even including the Creed movies. They're all good. That might be the best franchise, actually, if you think about it. And I urge you not to. But the Rocky movies, really good. Rocky 4, the thing I love about the Rocky franchise is that the first one is like this really long, epic, good movie. And the second one is like a really long, epic, good movie that's almost as good as the first one. And then the third one is just like clearly not as good as the first two movies, but it's just like compact and the story gets right in there and it's got all the feels and it's got all the moments and it's got high stakes and we get in there and we do the job. And I think that in the 80s particularly, I think that Sylvester Stallone just used the Rocky and Rambo movies as reasons to get into ridiculous like shape, like sculpted, like weirdly sculpted shape. The point where like you have like -% body fat right now. I think he just used those as an excuse to get into that kind of shape. And then you got Rocky 4, which was like, oh man, now he's got to fight a Russian who's like just murdered his friend. Like it's like bananas now. By the time you get to Rocky 4, the concepts are bananas. He's winning the Cold War through boxing. And not only is he winning the Cold War through boxing, he's practicing to fight a guy who's played by Dolph Lundgren, the Russian, Ivan Drago. He's practicing to fight him, and he's in Siberia. And the way he practices to fight this guy who's like 20 years his junior, also 10 feet taller than him. Answer me this. How is Rocky a heavyweight champion when he's like 5'2"? I don't think that that's even like, I mean, he looks like he's got no body fat, and he's 5'2", which means he needs to have like he's got to be like 220 pounds at 5'2". He would be rotund. The problem is we got to forget about all that. That's the solution, actually. So you got Ivan Drago, and this guy, he's Russian, even though he's Swedish. Go with me. And it was the height of the Cold War. We got to fight this. We got to bring down that wall in Berlin. And he represented that. But Rocky trains to fight this guy in the snow by running through the snow, jumping rope, lifting up a wagon over his head, and doing sit-ups. He never punches a person. He never spars. He never even spars. Watch the movie. The movie is about 15 training sequences strung together, which are all very good. The best of the 80s montages are in all of the Rocky movies. Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. You really get an appreciation for Sylvester Stallone's ability to create and edit a montage to evoke feeling. I should teach a whole class on Sylvester Stallone in the montage because he's always doing a montage. Rambo's always going to set up traps, so you need like 5 minutes of the movie showing him set up all the traps. Rambo's got to set up traps. Rocky got to train, but he don't. Rocky does not have to ever spar with anyone in order to defeat somebody who's using tons of machines and like knocking out sparring partner after sparring partner. Rocky's got the heart to win. And then you've got Rocky 5. It's terrible. Then you've got Rocky 6 or Rocky Balboa. Pretty good. Rocky's 115 years old and decides he wants to fight again just because, why not? And then Creed movies come along, and Creed is incredible. I jumped out of my seat when I was watching Creed. It's like, this is great. And then Creed 2, they're like, remember when we had that Russian guy? That Russian guy has a kid now. Remember when Sylvester Stallone was married to Brigitte Nielsen, who played Ivan Drago's wife? We're going to make that part of Ivan Drago's motivation in Creed 2, say that he's trying to still impress his ex-wife, his baby mama. So many layers to character. If there's one thing that Sylvester Stallone understands, it's character and montages, but not boxing, because you can't just freaking win at boxing by not training at boxing. Listen, I'm just gonna do a bunch of push-ups. I'm gonna run up a hill, and then I'm gonna go fight, I don't know, Riddick Bowe. Remember the Riddick movies? Speaking of franchises, how about those Riddick movies? How about them? Pitchblack, Chronicles of Riddick, the animated Chronicles of Riddick, Pitchblack 3. I forget if they wanted to call them Pitchblacks or Chronicles of the Riddicks. I'll tell you this, though. Sooner or later, one of these days, Vin Diesel's going to be a huge star. Any minute now. Still waiting. I think he's fantastic when they show him doing all his My Name is Groot's in the little when they show Vin Diesel doing all his little My name is Groot. I am Groot. Sorry. I am Groot. When My Name is Mud. That's a song by Primus. My name is Groot. I start slapping the bass. That song is not in 5/4. Maybe it's like. It's in like, it's just an 8. That's just simple. That's just simple math. Fate anime franchise. I don't know that. Let's see. Inception takes place in the Elm Street universe. Ooh, that's a good crossover. Inception with Nightmare on Elm Street. Imagine one of their dream layers. There's an actual Freddy that shows up. That'd be funny. Freddy's like, yo, I've been hanging out here eating meatballs off of my pizza. These meatballs are just people's faces. How sweet, fresh meat. Everybody remembers that quote. You think of Freddy Krueger, you think of him eating people off of a frickin' pizza, because that's just made me never look at meatballs again the same way. In that, I looked at them as little human faces. Thank you, Nightmare on Elm Street, for destroying Meatball Pizza for me. I do like that, though. Oh, the Sicario movies. Oh, I just gleeked. The Sicario movies, I gotta watch them. But they look pretty Sicario. Yeah. But guys, stay tuned because later on in the show I'm gonna have Jason Voorhees right here on the couch, and we are going to have a talk. I'm gonna have a little talk. We're gonna get to the bottom of his murdering. We're gonna figure out why he's out there murdering. We're gonna understand what drives him as an individual, and perhaps maybe he could take up a new hobby like finger painting. Maybe not murdering so much. Maybe he could, I don't know, like use like a paintbrush instead of a machete. Use your colors and your thoughts. How many times has Michael Myers been stabbed in the eye? Just once, I think. And then he got burnt up and he still survived. So Michael Myers is just a kind of a person with one eye and some burns. I really did like that last Halloween movie. I thought it was really cool. I thought that here's the issue I have in general with movies, because I actually worked as a counselor for people with mental health diagnoses and stuff like that. I was a counselor back in the day, and I was also a case manager helping people link with services that are available to you in the public. For instance, if you need housing, or if you need to get your medication, or if you need some doctors or healthcare, I would help people do that. And that's pretty much, there's like two things I do for a job, and that's either help people or no job. That's pretty much it. Make things and or help people, and that's what it should be all about, guys. I'm sure we're all learning about that right now, how to help, what counts most in life. But I forgot what I was saying about the franchises. But the people that, I used to be a counselor for, I always had to go into like different mental health facilities and stuff like that in order to advocate for people. I have a problem with movies, how they depict mental health facilities and the mental health system, because a lot of times they just have people kind of blathering and doing all sorts of weird, unsettling actions, and it's just not like that, guys. It's for dramatic effect in movies. However, I think it is poorly representative of people with mental illness and how they're treated, and it's not that far off, because in the 70s there's kind of like, really, if you watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that's probably the closest to reality. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, yeah. Interestingly enough, Joker got a lot of it right, but also some things for dramatic effect. But I don't know. I don't like the way they show people in crazy. Even though my favorite movie is Silence of the Lambs, and they're in some kind of dungeon because they're criminally insane. I mean, that's pretty cool, though, I gotta say. What's going on, guys? The recent Power Rangers movies was a huge dent on the Power Rangers franchise. Yeah, Power Rangers. Grew up watching the Power Rangers. I have kind of a funny story about the Power Rangers, which I guess I don't mind saying. I actually know one of the Power Rangers. So I was telling someone, it involved someone getting very angry that I thought it was pretty cool that I discovered. I've got 45 seconds remaining on Instagram. So if you guys want to hear the rest of the story, you might want to jump over to AristotleFullThrottle.com. But I was talking about how I thought it was cool that my friend was one of the Power Rangers. I was like, did you know that? And they were like, well, what's so cool about that? Why do you think that that's... They were just jealous that I thought someone was cooler than they were. And sometimes people need to check their ego. Hey, Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know with the fro. This is for the Instagram folks. Tune in every day at noon. We're going to do this every day, talk about movies, different subject every day. I'm your bro in the fro with the know. If you want to keep chatting, jump over to AristotleFullThrottle.com, and we're going to talk for a few more minutes over there. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. It's just us. It's just us over here on the YouTube. Now we can let our hair down. They're not gonna catch the interview with Jason Voorhees. That's the problem. I think it's funny when sometimes we just go, "Oh, isn't that cool?" We should all celebrate our friends who have different talents. We should look at people who are doing something that we wish we could do with admiration instead of jealousy or envy. Because guess what? It only helps you. Sometimes people can't deal. I don't know. That's why I have a podcast called Fan Story. You guys can go check out fanstorypodcast.com, and then I have a podcast over there where I talk to people who, I don't know, I'm just very curious about people. I want to know about them. I want to know what they're doing. I want to know what they're up to. I want to know how they do the thing that they do. Because I get very impressed easily. I'm very easily impressed. So if you can like twiddle your thumbs in such a way, I'll have a million questions for you because I find that impressive. The Halloween movies. You never saw the first Halloween movie, Will. What's going on with you? And does Jason have an adamantium skeleton? I mean, he does heal up. Or does Michael Myers have an adamantium skeleton? I was never really into horror movies. There were a few horror movies that really intrigued me. I was really scared. Here's the best way to watch The Exorcist. And this is... Actually, I'm kidding. This is the worst way you should ever watch The Exorcist. You should never be 8 years old, home alone, or 10 or whatever it was. I remember being alone. My brothers might have been there. I remember being alone. Makes the story better. I was waking up from a nap, and on the TV was The Exorcist. And I'm going to blame my brother for putting it on. And I was watching it, and it was terrifying me. And I could not sleep. I was terrified. You should never be that. You should never be 10 watching The Exorcist home alone. But that's also the perfect way to watch a movie like that because it'll scar you for life. Oh, Rocky's weight, it's because he has an adamantium skeleton. That's how he weighs in for being, because he's kind of like a Wolverine. Sylvester Stallone should have played Wolverine because he is short enough for the role. It's a role for short people. It could be anyway. I think it's interesting that 6'2" Hugh Jackman got to play Wolverine, but we forgave him after a minute. I'm growing like a Wolverine right now. I've got like a regrowth factor of Wolverine level. But that makes perfect sense as to why he would weigh so much. Exorcist 2. You know what's so funny about Exorcist 2 is all I remember from that is Pazuzu. Just like lots of Ming the Merciless and also Pazuzu. Lots of that. And I was like going, this is dumb. And then what I remember from Exorcist 3 is just two things. Two things I only remember from Exorcist 3. Fabio. Google it. And Patrick Ewing from the New York Knickerbockers. Those are the two they play, I think, angels in that. Because who else would you have as representing God's angels other than Fabio and Patrick Ewing? I didn't understand it as a kid. My cousin and I were like, hey, Fabio, you want to play some ball? Like, we tried to figure out what they were doing in heaven. Angels look like they got the boring-ass job of just hanging out, Who wants to be an angel? Who just wants to sit there and take tabs on everybody? Seems boring. I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to heaven. None of my friends will be there. I'll be bored. Not that I would get into heaven, but I don't even want to. It seemed like a waste of time. This could be heaven for all we know. Just sitting around. Hey, you get to do whatever you want all the time. I hate it. Give me a job. Stick a hot poker in my ear forever. I'd rather do that. Ewing was an angel. Patrick Ewing was an angel, but he was also a basketball player. Famous. Yeah, we all love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and why not? Why not? I think he could keep playing him. Columbo and Nick Cage. I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know what that means, but I like it. I'm going to call Professor Hollywood. I'm going to call Mr. Businessman Hollywood. Hey, Hollywood, man. Kids don't even know what this means anymore. It doesn't mean hang 10. It doesn't only mean hang 10. They go like this. When they do phones, they go like this. Hello? Hello? Or they go like this. This is object work. Let me just call my friend here. Hello? I'll leave you with this. In improv, you act like you're actually interacting with the actual piece of a thing. You don't pretend like your hand is a phone. You pretend you're holding a phone. And that is all you need to know. Wings of Desire. I have not read the Witcher books, nor have I played the game, but I have seen Henry Cavill before. Peter Falk. Peter Falk was an incredible actor. Actually, I might leave with that. That would be a good mashup. Peter Falk was one of the best actors ever. A lot of people thought he lost his eye in the war. He actually had a cancer when he was a kid, lost his eye. He had one eye. He was a great actor. Great actor. I watch Columbos all the time. I'll still watch him. One of the episodes I was watching recently, a couple years ago, was I was noticing there's really interesting camera blocking going on. I'm like, this is really interesting. And then I looked at the credits, and it was Steven Spielberg directed that episode. 1971. An episode of Columbo, directed by young 25-year-old Steven Spielberg, 24-year-old or something ridiculous. Way too young. Way too talented. Definitely deserved to direct because he was very talented. However, you just go, what? This was directed by a child? It's actually pretty good. There's a couple moments in it, though, where you can see the shadow of the camera on the actor, and you just go, meow. I guess they didn't have video monitors yet. They could only sort of block the shot through the camera and then film it and then trust the next day when it came back that it looked good. Yeah, Spielberg. There's an episode of Columbo that Spielberg directed. Check it out. And I actually noticed that this episode was standout. I was like, they're directing in this episode. There's something about it. And then I went on IMDb and looked it up, and it was directed by Steven Spielberg. And I was like, yeah, I thought so. I could tell. I see you, Spielbergs. He directed Duel, I think, maybe a year later. But he did a bunch of TV shows. He directed the TV movie Duel, and then Jaws, and then the rest is Steven Spielberg history. Maybe Sugarland Express we could forget about, 1942. Totally forget about. Don't think about those movies. Watch the rest of them. They're all good. They're all good to great. A guy with about 40 movies or so, good to great. How many movies did Spielberg direct? Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about Steven Spielberg movies because they're fun. And why are they so good? Why was he so good? Why was Spielberg so good? I say was as if it's all past tense because guess what? He just mails it in right now. People don't even know what mail is. They don't even know what phoning it in is anymore. He just texts it in. He just emojis it in. Spielberg is emojiing things in these days, and he should be really committing to actually being present. Or just be committed. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Aristotle, your bro in the know with the fro. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm just going to wait for like 20 seconds until it catches up on YouTube. And then I'm going to press stop streaming because I'm trying to figure this out. Because sometimes I feel like we just get cut off. I feel like we just get cut off sometimes. And I don't like to do that. I'd like to say proper goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, it's still catching up. You're the best.